Hi, my name is Alana, and I'm a registered dietitian with Access to Healthcare Network. Today, we're here at Winco Foods to give you a tour to help you shop smartly and share some tips and tricks to make better food choices. We will visit various departments to give you tips and guidance on making healthy choices for yourself and your family. Let's head in. I know we're teaching this class virtually to you, but we'll take a moment and ask a question. Can anyone name 5 fruits and veggies that start with the letter P?
Examples include pears, parsnips, peas, and peppers.
Excellent! We want to have anywhere from 2 to 3 cups of vegetables per day and 1.5 to 2 cups per day of fruits. The produce section is my favorite section. Here we find all different kinds of fruits and vegetables. A great way to make sure you're getting all the nutrients you need is to eat a variety of different colors. We love to say, eat the rainbow. To make your budget stretch here, some other options are frozen, canned, dried fruits, and fruit in 100% juice. If you're on a time crunch, you can buy pre-cut produce. These are typically a little more expensive, but buying bagged salads and pre-cut fruits can be a great option when you're busy or on the go. One last tip is buying herbs. If you're someone that is watching their blood pressure, herbs can be a great way to flavor your dishes without adding salt. All right, let's go to the meat department and grab some more items. In the meat and poultry department, we're going to focus on meat such as beef, lamb, and pork, which are all great sources of protein. They contain nutrients like iron, vitamin B6, and B12. With meat, we want to be mindful of the saturated fat and cholesterol content. Cholesterol is not visible when we look at the meat, but it is mainly found in the muscle of the meat. On the other hand, the saturated fat is visible and is what we know as the white part or the marbling in steaks. Saturated fats are typically solid at room temperature and are found in animal-based foods like processed meats, beef, pork, full-fat dairy products, eggs, and tropical oils like coconut and palm oil. The Dietary Guidelines for Americans recommends limiting calories from saturated fat to less than 10% of the total calories each day. That is about 200 calories or 22 grams based on a 2,000 calorie diet. As a recommendation, it is best to stay around 5 to 8% of the daily value for saturated fat. If you are watching your cholesterol, you want to aim for leaner cuts of meat, such as poultry without the skin, loin cuts, and 10% fat ground meats are a great alternative. We also have seafood, which is another option as a protein source and also includes some heart-healthy omega-3 fatty acids, which help raise the good HDL cholesterol. For portion size, we want to consume about 3 to 4 ounces of cooked meat per meal, which is the size of a deck of cards or the palm of your hand. And remember, it is important to keep food safety in mind. Always wash your hands when handling raw meat and separate raw meats from other foods. What are some vegetarian protein sources? Excellent! You can definitely get protein from plant-based foods such as beans, peas, lentils, nuts, seeds, and soy products like tofu and edamame. Plant sources of protein are also going to be much lower in fat and cholesterol than animal proteins. Speaking of protein, let's head over to the deli. The deli counter can be a great way to pick up some quick meal options. Sliced deli meat can make a quick, nutritious meal with whole wheat bread and a side salad. When shopping at the deli counter, look for the American Heart Association symbol, which tells you it is a product that is low in fat and salt. Now that we have sliced meats, let's head over to the dairy section. Milk, cheese, and yogurt provide nutrients such as calcium and vitamin D, which are important for bone health. For adults, it is recommended to have 3 servings of dairy per day. This can be in the form of 1 cup of milk, 1.5 ounces of cheese, or 2 cups of cottage cheese. Nowadays, there are a variety of milk and milk alternative options. There are options for cashew milk, oat milk, and even coconut milk. Choosing which one to buy is completely up to you, but looking at the food label can help you make the best choice for your diet. Let's review serving sizes on the nutritional label together. What is the difference between a portion size and a serving size? A portion size is how much you give yourself, and a serving size is a standard measure like a half cup or 2 tablespoons. The nutrition label will tell you how many servings are in the container and helps you manage your portions. The serving size is the amount of food that the nutrition facts are based on. The percent daily value is based on a 2,000 calorie diet, but your needs may be different depending on your age and nutrition goals. The percent daily value indicates if the food is high or low in certain nutrients. A value of 5% or less is low, and a 20% value is considered high. Generally, we want to limit added sugars to less than 10% of our daily calories, which is about 50 grams per day on a 2,000 calorie diet. Looking for these areas on the nutrition label can help us make choices that meet our dietary goals. When looking at alternative milk options, review the label and be mindful of the amount of added sugars per serving size. Look for those that say unsweetened, like unsweetened vanilla. Another item in the dairy section that we should look for added sugars is yogurt, so let's go over there. Yogurt is another great way to get some calcium, protein, and probiotics for improved digestion. However, it can also be a hidden source of sugars. When looking at the nutrition label, total sugars include sugar that is naturally present in that food, like milk and fruit items, whereas added sugars include sugars that are added during the processing of that food. We want to limit added sugars, which provide no nutritional value besides added calories. Greek yogurt is an excellent way to get more protein for breakfast, and you can choose from 0% fat to full fat plain yogurt. Pro tip: Greek yogurt
can be used in marinades or to replace half the mayonnaise in your recipe.
Don't we all love cheese? Cheese is another good source of protein and calcium. However, some cheeses like cheddar can have a high saturated fat content, and the serving size for cheese is typically 1 to 1.5 ounces. But in reality, don't we all love more? Here are some tips for choosing low-fat cheeses. Look for part skim or reduced fat on the front of the product. What are some options for low-fat cheeses that you have seen? Here are some of the lower-fat cheese options available at the supermarket. Look for part skim mozzarella cheese, part skim ricotta, feta cheese, Swiss cheese, blue cheese, and cottage cheese. If you're lactose intolerant, cheeses such as Gouda, Parmesan, and Swiss cheese have very little to no lactose. Now that we have some cheese in our cart, let's go to the egg section. In the dairy section, you will find eggs, which are an excellent source of protein. But one thing to be mindful of is their cholesterol content. The American Heart Association recommends consuming no more than 300 milligrams of cholesterol per day. Did you know that one egg yolk can contain a little over 215 milligrams of cholesterol? For this reason, the American Heart Association recommends to limit eggs to 3 per week. What are some other options you can do to limit your cholesterol intake? Looking at the nutrition label for cholesterol, saturated fat, and fiber can help us manage cholesterol levels through the diet. Now let's head over to the butter. Last but not least, let's talk about butter. Butter can be included as part of a healthy diet when it is used in moderation. If you're planning to use butter alternatives, consider using buttery spreads or margarines with 0 grams of trans fats, such as Smart Balance. Now that our cart is full of healthy dairy products, let's go over to the oil section. There are many different oils to choose from. However, it is helpful to choose the oil based on the cooking method you will be using. If you are searing meat, which requires a high temperature, or roasting at a temperature of 400 or higher, it requires a high heat oil. It is important to choose an oil that is stable at high temperatures because each oil has a certain smoke point. When oil is heated past its smoke point, it will start to break down the fat and turn into harmful free radicals and release carcinogens into the air. Some great neutral tasting high heat oils are avocado or grapeseed oil, or even a less expensive option like canola. For medium heat, which is around the middle of the knob of the stove, or less than 400 degrees Fahrenheit, extra virgin olive oil is a great option. It can also be used in marinades and salad dressings. Extra virgin olive oil is the highest quality and most expensive olive oil available. There is no heat involved when the oil is pressed from the olive, which helps leave behind its fruity aroma and peppery flavor. If you do not like the taste of extra virgin olive oil, you can also use virgin or light olive oil, which is much lighter and neutral in flavor and less expensive. One last tip here is to pay close attention to the label, which will often tell you the smoke point temperature for that particular oil. Now we have our oil, let's head to the vinegar and spices. Another thing to consider with cooking is vinegar. Vinegar is a great way to add flavor and depth to your dishes without adding salt. For this reason, it is helpful to keep a variety of vinegars on hand to change up the flavors. Some examples include balsamic vinegar, white vinegar, and red wine vinegar. Balsamic vinegar is a full-bodied vinegar and is great for dressings, dips, and tenderizing meats. If you feel balsamic is too strong for you, you can choose white vinegar or apple cider vinegar, which are a bit milder in flavor. Another great item to use for flavoring our dishes are spices. So let's head over there. Spices are another great way to add flavor to your dishes while cutting back on salt. You can create a delicious marinade with some olive oil, spices, and fresh herbs to add to your fish, poultry, and even your vegetables. Here we want to be mindful of spices with added salt, like garlic salt, onion salt, and seasoning mixes. When we are reviewing the nutrition label for sodium, also known as salt, 5% is considered low and 20% is considered high. If you have high blood pressure, you should talk to your healthcare provider about what your recommended salt intake should be. Where do you think the most added sodium comes from in the diet? The most common sources of added sodium include snacks like chips, canned foods, and frozen meals. Speaking of which, let's go check out the snacks and canned goods. Pre-packaged snacks and canned goods are some of the major sources of sodium in the American diet. So when we are in these aisles, looking at the nutrition label can help us make healthier choices. Specific items that can be high in salt include canned soups, beans, sauces, and broths, as well as chips, crackers, and pretzels. Although there is nothing wrong with the occasional treat, we mostly want to look for nutritious snacks that can give us energy and keep hunger in check. A healthy, balanced snack can consist of a complex carbohydrate, such as a whole grain cracker or a fruit, and a lean protein or fat like nuts or low-fat string cheese. This combination will help keep us full for longer and provide some necessary nutrients to our diet. So when we are looking for snacks and canned goods, look for items that have low sodium, no salt added, or the American Heart Association symbol on the label, as we mentioned in the deli section. Now that our cart is about halfway full, let's go to the bread and grain aisles. bread aisle, there is usually a variety of options, from rye to sourdough, so it can be difficult to know which option best supports your diet goals. Bread is considered a good source of carbohydrates, but depending on the type of bread, it can either be considered simple or complex. A simple carbohydrate is one that has little to no fiber, like white bread, white pasta, flour tortillas, and white rice. A complex carbohydrate is one that is high in fiber, such as oatmeal, brown rice, whole grain bread, and whole wheat pasta. Since we want to eat more complex carbohydrates, it is generally best to look for options with the whole grain stamp, which indicates that the food is high in fiber, B vitamins, iron, and antioxidants. Diets high in dietary fiber can reduce the risk of developing heart disease and stroke. Fiber also helps lower that bad LDL cholesterol and promotes a regular bathroom schedule, if you know what I mean. A product with 3 or more grams of dietary fiber is considered an excellent source. So when looking at bread, try to find options that are high in fiber. What are some examples of fiber-rich foods?
Examples include fruits and vegetables, legumes or beans, nuts, seeds, and whole grains like oatmeal.
Great! Whole grains are a great option for fiber. So let's go head over to that aisle. The grains and cereal section of the store also has a variety of options. And like the bread aisle, it is helpful to look for whole grains and cereals with at least 3 grams of fiber per serving. To meet these fiber recommendations, a general guide is to make at least half of the grains we eat whole grains. It is also good to pay attention to the carbohydrate section of the nutrition label. If you are a person living with diabetes, this information will be useful to help you manage your blood sugars. Specifically, when looking at cereals, it is best to find a whole grain option that has a reasonable serving size. Most people eat at least 1 cup of cereal, so it is recommended to look for a cereal with a serving size close to 1 cup. One of the first ingredients listed being whole grain, and a limited amount of added sugars. Which carbohydrate foods do you think you eat the most of? If you notice you eat more simple carbohydrates, think of some complex carbohydrates you can choose instead. Now that we have some high fiber bread and grains in the cart, let's head over to the bakery. Standing in the bakery surrounded by so many goodies can be very tempting, which is okay since everything can be eaten in moderation, but we do want to try and make healthier choices where we can. Baked goods like cookies, muffins, cakes, and other pastries are usually high in sugars and fats, which can impact our health in a negative way. Specifically, we want to look out for trans fats in these foods. Trans fats are found in fried foods, like donuts, as well as baked goods, and margarine or other spreads. We want to avoid these fats because they raise our bad LDL cholesterol and lower our good HDL cholesterol, which can increase the risk of developing heart disease and stroke. Trans fats are also associated with a higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes. When looking at the food label, trans fats can be found under the total fat section, and when possible, aim for 0 grams of trans fats. If an item does have any trans fat, it is best to avoid this food or only eat it occasionally. Another area of the store that trans fats can be found in is the frozen section. Let's go there now. Here in the frozen section, you will find all kinds of goodies. Frozen foods can range from ice cream to broccoli, so it is important to read the nutrition label. Let's start with frozen fruits and vegetables. These can be a great option to buy long-lasting produce. Frozen fruits and vegetables can retain their nutrition profile a bit longer because they are frozen close to harvest. When reviewing the labels for fruits, Try to find packages with no added sugars. When reviewing labels for frozen vegetables, choose steamed vegetables or flavored vegetables with low sodium. Complete meals can also be found in the frozen section. So look at the nutrition label for the calorie, sodium, and fat amounts to make sure the item fits your diet. It is also helpful to look for meals that include vegetables, or get creative with adding your own vegetables to increase the nutritional value of that meal. Lastly, desserts like ice cream and sorbet can be found in the frozen section. With these items, look for options that have a reasonable serving size and limited added sugar. Now that our cart is full of healthy foods, we can check out and I'll meet you outside. Now that we're done shopping, we hope that you were able to take away some healthy grocery shopping tips. We encourage you to be an informed shopper and take charge of your health. Thank you for watching.